The studio lights were blinding, casting a warm glow over the live audience. Kelly Clarkson stood on stage, beaming as she introduced the next guest. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legendary Michael Bublé." The crowd erupted in cheers, phones raised to capture the moment. Michael Bublé walked onto the stage, his signature smile slightly strained, giving a polite nod to the audience before taking his seat across from Kelly. The interview started smoothly. Kelly's charm disarmed him at first, and the audience laughed at their playful banter. "So, Michael, your new album is taking the world by storm," Kelly said. "What's the one song you wish people would hear more closely?" Michael leaned back, adjusting his suit. "I've poured my heart into all of them, but there's this one track." His words trailed off, and an unusual tension rippled through the room. Kelly tilted her head, sensing the hesitation. "You seem distracted. Everything okay?" That's when it happened. A technical producer whispered into Michael's earpiece, and his face hardened. "We need to address something," he muttered under his breath. Kelly, sensing the sudden shift in his demeanor, leaned in. "Michael, talk to me. What's going on?" The audience grew quiet, the hum of anticipation filling the studio. Michael's voice was calm but edged with frustration. "I was promised a certain format for this segment," he said, glancing at the camera crew. "But it feels like things are being pushed in a direction I didn't agree to." Kelly, trying to diffuse the tension, smiled sympathetically. "I hear you. Let's just talk about music, okay?" But Michael's gaze hardened. "This isn't about music. It's about respect, professional respect. And I won't stand here being misrepresented." Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The audience, initially unaware, began to murmur, sensing the brewing storm. A camera angle captured Michael standing abruptly, his chair scraping the floor. Kelly's eyes widened. "Michael, wait," she called out. But he was already moving toward the exit, his jaw tight, the polite veneer gone. As Michael Bublé stormed off the stage, the live broadcast cut to a commercial. Whispers filled the studio. Crew members exchanged anxious glances. Kelly sat frozen, the host who had seen countless interviews, now witnessing a public meltdown of one of music's biggest stars. What had triggered such anger? Was this a minor dispute blown out of proportion, or something more? Backstage, producers scrambled, phones ringing off the hook. "Get him back on stage," one shouted. But Michael had vanished, leaving a trail of stunned silence and unanswered questions. The audience, unsure whether this was scripted drama or reality, sat frozen. In the control room, a producer muttered, "This is going to trend worldwide, and not in a good way." The tension in the studio was palpable. Kelly's usual warm smile was replaced by a tight, controlled expression. She knew the next few minutes would define how this incident would be remembered. The cameras panned to the audience, capturing their shocked expressions, while the world outside began to buzz with speculation. Backstage, Michael's assistant found him pacing nervously near the green room. "Michael, maybe we should just go back out there. It's live. You can explain." Michael shook his head violently. "No. They don't get it. They never do. They think everything is just fun and games. But this is personal." His assistant hesitated, sensing that this was deeper than a simple argument. "Personal. On live television. You're going to regret this if we don't handle it carefully." Michael ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling over. "You don't understand. It's not about me. It's about what's being twisted in the narrative. They're making it look like I'm some diva who can't handle an interview. And I won't let that happen, not after everything I've been through." Meanwhile, in the control room, the producer was frantically consulting the director. "We can't just cut him off. Social media will explode. We need a plan." The director nodded, frowning. "Find out what triggered it. Maybe we can salvage the segment." Kelly, still on stage, was whispering to her co-hosts. "I didn't expect this. He's usually composed. Something set him off." Her instincts as a seasoned interviewer told her there was more behind the anger than the argument about the segment format. Suddenly, security approached Michael, trying to calm him down. "Mr. Bublé, please, we can talk this through." He stopped pacing, breathing heavily, his gaze fixed on the exit. "No. I'm done with talking. They don't listen unless you make a statement they can't ignore." At that moment, a backstage crew member accidentally revealed a snippet of overheard conversation. "Did you hear? They were questioning his songwriting inspiration, about that personal song he wrote after, the loss. Michael's eyes widened, and he slammed his hand against the wall. Yes, he shouted. That's it. They're dragging my private life into the spotlight, turning grief into a spectacle. I won't be a part of it. His voice echoed down the hall, bouncing off the walls. The tension was electric, almost suffocating. Back on stage, the broadcast resumed with Kelly trying to fill the silence. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes emotions run high. Let's take a moment, but the audience knew, the story was no longer just about music. Something deeper, more personal, had surfaced, and the suspense was unbearable. Hours later, the studio had emptied, but the story was just beginning to circulate online. Clips of Michael Bublé's dramatic exit went viral within minutes. Social media exploded with speculation. Fans debated whether this was a publicity stunt or genuine outrage. Headlines screamed, "Michael Bublé storms off Kelly Clarkson show, what really happened?" In a quiet corner of his home studio, Michael finally sat down, exhausted. His manager entered, holding a tablet displaying millions of comments. "Michael, you need to release a statement. People are misinterpreting everything." Michael stared at the screen, his eyes weary but resolute. "No. They don't need a statement. They need to understand the story behind the music. If they can't see the emotion, the grief, the struggle, then they never will." Meanwhile, Kelly Clarkson addressed the incident on social media. Her statement was measured. Live TV can be unpredictable. Michael's passion and integrity are undeniable. I hope he's okay. That's what matters most. Fans praised her professionalism, even as debates continued online. Days later, in an exclusive interview, Michael finally opened up. He revealed that the segment had unintentionally touched on deeply personal experiences, including the loss of a loved one that inspired his new album. He admitted the emotions overwhelmed him in a way he hadn't anticipated. "It wasn't anger at Kelly," he explained. "It was the fear that people would see my grief as entertainment." The revelation shifted public perception. What initially seemed like a tantrum transformed into a powerful story of vulnerability, artistry, and the pressures of fame. Michael's exit became legendary, not as a moment of rage, but as a moment of human authenticity. Back in the studio, months later, Kelly and Michael reconciled on a quiet stage for a charity event. No cameras, no pressure, just conversation. The tension had dissolved, replaced by understanding. They laughed about the incident, though its memory remained etched in their minds as a reminder of how fragile public personas can be, and how real emotion, even in the glare of the spotlight, can't be ignored. The world had watched the storm unfold, but only a few knew the truth behind it, that sometimes, passion and pain collide in ways that cannot be contained, and even legends have breaking points.